Alright, straight to the point, not many people have a perfect gaming setup, not even me, but we all want to improve our setups one way or another, whether it be from new equipment, a better layout, or just anything our setups lack. Well, I took some time to brainstorm some tips that'll help out anyone looking to improve their setup, no matter the budget. What's up guys, Prodigy here, and today I'm teaching you guys 5 ways to better improve your setup. Alright, now first things first, you gotta clean. Like seriously, there's no way your setup is gonna look nice if you have a ton of clutter and trash on your desk. Throw away your empty bottles, your wrappers, your crusty tissues, just anything that doesn't belong on your desk. Except that can stay. And once you throw away your trash and keep only the things you need on your desk, you want to clean all of your equipment like your monitors, your keyboard, your mouse, just anything that stays on your desk most of the time. You want to clean it of dust and gunk. And you can pretty much clean anything with some glass cleaner and a microfiber cloth, except for your monitors, as you want to clean the screens with a microfiber cloth and a little bit of water if that. But for your keyboard, it's going to be a bit longer of a process, since you're going to make sure you clean underneath your keycaps, clean the frame, clean the keycaps themselves. But to make the cleaning process easy for you guys, I will be leaving links in the description for how to clean your monitor screens and how to clean your keyboards. And once you have cleaned all of your equipment and such, make sure you give your desk a good wipe down so there's no dust, and that should be the end of tip number 1. But I should recommend that you wipe down everything about once a week or so, as you don't want the dust to accumulate a lot. Moving on to tip number 2, cable management. If your cables aren't organized under your desk, your setup is not going to look neat, plain and simple. But everyone's going to have their own situation of how the cables are, as some people may have like a bunch of cables and will just need a cable sleeve, while others might need to mount some stuff underneath your desk. Well, since everyone's going to need something for their preference, I will be leaving links down below to different cable management products like Velcro ties, cable sleeves, and more, just so everyone can find at least one thing they can use. But when coming to cable management, the main key is having the cords out of sight and out of mind the best way possible, and this can be from taping cables down, Velcro tying all the cords so they follow one line, using an IKEA Signum, putting all the cables in a cable box, using cord hangers, hiding the cords behind your monitors and your desk, and just anything to pretty much not see any cords. And if you have a wooden desk and you always keep your keyboard and mouse in the same positions, you could potentially consider drilling a hole in your desk, but I wouldn't advise that necessarily unless you are confident in your decision. But if you would be interested in drilling a hole in your desk, I will link down below a tutorial of how to do so. And 2 people that I would highly recommend you guys watch are Updato and TechSource, which they both make cable management videos where they show off the best ways to hide your cords. So if you find yourself to be struggling a bit, I'd recommend you watch your videos in the description as well. Moving on to tip number 3, upgrade your equipment. Now when doing this tip, there are a lot of things to consider, like figuring out your budget and figuring out what's more important to get. Well, the best way to do this is by making a wish list somewhere like Amazon and adding in potential items you would want to get for your setup. And this can range from a new monitor, a new chair, a new desk, just anything you think would add value to your setup. And the only thing you have to do when picking out different equipment is doing research on those items to meet your needs. For example, suppose you wanted a 24-inch monitor. Well, you would probably make sure it had a customer review, but after that, you want to make sure it fit your budget, like $150. And after that, it would all depend on your preference and the research, looking up the specs and technical information for different products and comparing those items to other equipment so you can figure out what would be the better deal. But overall, the most important thing when upgrading equipment is research. Next up, we got tip number 4, and this is really important: add style and personality. When you look at a gaming setup, it shouldn't look dull or meaningless, but instead catch your eye and show a little something from the person behind the setup. And you can easily add style and personality to a setup in many ways, like adding framed posters to your walls, adding unique tech that stands out, maybe having some cool wallpaper on your screen, adding a pop vinyl or more to your setup, or best of all, adding a plant to your setup, which I actually have 2 fake plants of my own for my setup, because I do find that adding a bit of greenery to a setup can make it stand out even more. Also, when going for style, I would recommend figuring out a theme for your setup, whether it be a color theme like red and black, or maybe a simple blue color theme, or maybe you want a theme surrounding something else, like possibly having like a Star Wars theme setup or even a Marvel's theme setup. It really would all depend on your preference. But overall, there are still a lot more ways to add style and personality to a setup that I haven't even mentioned, because when it comes to style and personality, there's quite an infinite amount of ideas that can happen. But if you are interested in adding some style and personality to your setup, I'll be sure to link down below some products that might interest you guys. And finally, for tip number 5, having good lighting in your setup, specifically RGB. And this tip gets overlooked a lot because some people think that RGB lighting is overrated or just not needed. Well, on the contrary, you don't necessarily need RGB lighting for a setup, but it would definitely be helpful because lighting can make a huge difference in the setup. and plus RGB lighting just looks cool in general. And there are multiple ways of implementing lighting into a setup, whether it be like an RGB light strip, a color changing wallpaper on your screen, maybe even consider getting an RGB lamp or an RGB light bulb for mood lighting, but just anything that can add some nice glow to your setup will make it stand out even more. And I'll be sure to link down below different RGB lighting products for you guys just so you give them a chance to look at. But after going over all that, that'll be the end of my top 5 ways to improve your gaming setup, which looking back through all the tips I said, like cleaning your setup, doing cable management, upgrading equipment, adding sound personality, and good lighting, I believe all these tips can help anyone improve their setup no matter the budget. Now, of course, if you have a bigger budget than most, you're going to be able to get more out of your setup than others, but if you find yourself not being able to afford some things you may want, like maybe you don't have enough to upgrade your desk, or maybe not enough money to just buy an RGB light strip, I would highly recommend that you make a list of all the things you want and figure out the cost of each item, and then figure out which item would be the most important to work towards. And I've used this method a lot for equipment since it did take a long time for me to get some of the stuff that I have today. So if you find yourself being in that predicament, I would highly recommend that you make a list. But overall guys, at the end of the day, not every setup is going to be perfect because it's going to take some time to better improve your setup, whether it be a few days to possibly a few years, which that's not a bad thing because you're supposed to build as you go, as the whole thing is a process as a whole. But I hope this video helped out a lot of you guys, as I know everyone has their own situation. But I think that's gonna wrap it up. Now I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If so, drop a like and subscribe for more quality content like this, because I do love making videos like this one. Also, if you guys didn't know already, I actually made a Discord for my channel because I want to be able to further engage with you guys and just overall have a fun time. But if you haven't already, be sure to go join my Discord in the description and be sure to have notifications on so you won't miss any of my videos. My name's Prodigy, and as always, stay classy.